Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 was an international passenger flight operated by Malaysia Airlines that disappeared on 8 March 2014 while flying from Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia to its planned destination, Beijing Capital International Airport. The aircraft was lost from a TC radar screens minutes later, but was tracked by military radar for another hour, deviating westward from its planned flight path, crossing the Malay Peninsula and Andaman Sea. It left radar range 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers, 230 miles, northwest of Penang Island in northwestern peninsular Malaysia. With all 227 passengers and 12 crew aboard presumed dead, the disappearance of Flight 370 was the deadliest incident involving a Boeing 777 and the deadliest in Malaysia Airlines history until it was surpassed in both regards by Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, which was shot down while flipping over conflict-stricken eastern Ukraine 4 months later on 17 July 2014. The combined loss caused significant financial problems for Malaysia Airlines, which was renationalized by the Malaysian government in August 2014. The search for the missing airplane became the most expensive search in the history of aviation. It focused initially on the South China Sea and Andaman Sea before analysis of the aircraft's automated communications with an Inmarsat satellite indicated a possible crash site somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean. The lack of official information in the days immediately after the disappearance prompted fierce criticism from the Chinese public, particularly from relatives of the passengers, as most people on board Flight 370 were of Chinese origin. Several pieces of debris washed ashore in the western Indian Ocean during 2015 and 2016. Many of these were confirmed to have originated from Flight 370. After a 3-year search across 120,000 square kilometers of ocean failed to locate the aircraft, the Joint Agency Coordination Center heading the operation suspended its activities in January 2017. A second search, launched in January 2018 by private contractor Ocean Infinity, also ended without success after 6 months. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau proposed initially that a hypoxia event was the most likely cause given the available evidence, although no consensus has been reached concerning this theory among investigators. At various stages of the investigation, possible hijacking scenarios were considered, including crew involvement and suspicion of the airplane's cargo manifest. Many disappearance theories regarding the flight have also been reported by the media. The Malaysian Ministry of Transport's final report from July 2018 was inconclusive but highlighted Malaysian ATC's failures to attempt to communicate with the aircraft shortly after its disappearance. In the absence of a definitive cause of disappearance, air transport industry safety recommendations and regulations citing Flight 370 have been intended mostly to prevent a repetition of the circumstances associated with the loss. These include increased battery life on underwater locator beacons, lengthening of recording times on flight data recorders and cockpit voice recorders, and new standards for aircraft position reporting over the open ocean. The aircraft, a Boeing 777 operated by Malaysia Airlines, last made voice contact with ATC at 1:19 MYT, 8 March, when it was over the South China Sea, less than an hour after takeoff. It disappeared from a TC radar screens at 1:22 MYT, but was still tracked on military radar as it turned sharply away from its original northeastern course to head west and cross the Malay Peninsula, continuing that course until leaving the range of the military radar at 2:22 while over the Andaman Sea, 200 nautical miles, 370 kilometers. 230 miles, northwest of Penang Island in northwestern Malaysia. The multinational search effort for the aircraft, which was to become the most expensive aviation search in history, began in the Gulf of Thailand and the South China Sea, where the aircraft signal was last detected on secondary surveillance radar and was soon extended to the Strait of Malacca and Andaman Sea. Analysis of satellite communications between the aircraft and Inmarsat's satellite communications network concluded that the flight continued until at least 8:19 and flew south into the southern Indian Ocean. Although the precise location cannot be determined, Australia assumed charge of the search on 17 March when the search effort began to 1 mile per hour size the southern Indian Ocean. On 24 March, the Malaysian government noted that the final location determined by the satellite communication was far from any possible landing sites and concluded Flight MEN 370 ended in the southern Indian Ocean from October 2014 to January 2017. A comprehensive survey of 120,000 square kilometers of seafloor, about 1,800 kilometers of seafloor, about 1,800 miles, southwest of Perth, Western Australia, yielded no evidence of the aircraft. Several pieces of marine debris found on the coast of Africa and on Indian Ocean islands off the coast of Africa. The first discovered on 29 July 2015 on reunion have been confirmed as pieces of Flight 370. The bulk of the aircraft has not been located, prompting many theories about its disappearance. The aircraft's final transmission was an automated position report sent using the aircraft communications addressing and reporting system protocol at 1SAY. Among the data provided in this message was the total fuel remaining. The crew was expected to signal at ATC in Ho Chi Minh City as the aircraft passed into Vietnamese airspace, just north of the point where contact was lost. The captain of another aircraft attempted to contact the crew of Flight 370 shortly after 1:30, using the International Air Distress Frequency to relay Vietnamese air traffic control's request for the crew to contact them. The captain said he was able to establish communication, but only heard mumbling and static. Calls made to Flight 370's cockpit at 2:39 and 7:13 were unanswered, but acknowledged by the aircraft's satellite data unit. The fact that a modern aircraft could disappear in a digitally connected world was met with surprise and disbelief by the public. While changes in the aviation industry often take years to be implemented, airlines and air transport authorities responded swiftly to take action on several measures to reduce the likelihood of a similar incident. There was a call for automated transponders after the terrorist attacks of 11 September 2001. No changes were made because aviation experts preferred flexible control in case of malfunctions or electrical emergency. In the aftermath of Flight 370's disappearance, the air transport industry was still resistant to the installation of automated transponders, which would likely entail significant costs. Pilots also criticized changes of this kind, insisting on the need to cut power to equipment in the event of a fire. Nonetheless, new types of tamper circuit breakers were being considered. The intensive and urgent search for the flight recorders in early April 2014, due to the 30-day battery life of the underwater locator beacons, or pingers, attached to them, drew attention to their inherent limitation. The maximum distance from the underwater location beacons at which the signal can be detected is normally 3,000 meters. Under favorable conditions, even if the flight recorders are located, the cockpit voice capacity to store only 2 hours of data, continuously recording over the oldest data. This storage capacity complies with regulations which take account of the fact that it is usually only the data recordings from the last section of a flight that are needed to determine the cause of an accident. However, the events that led to Flight 370 diverting from its course before disappearing took place more than 2 hours before the flight ended. Given these shortcomings and the importance of the data stored on flight recorders, Flight 370 has brought to attention new technologies that enable data streaming to the ground. A call to increase the battery life of US LLBs was made following the unsuccessful initial search in 2009 for the flight recorders on Air France Flight 447, which were not located until 2011. a formal recommendation that the underwater locator beacons design be upgraded to offer a longer battery life or to make the recorders ejectable had been included in the final report of the Board of Inquiry into the loss of South African Airways Flight 295 over the Indian Ocean in 1987. But it was not until 2014 that the ICAO made such a recommendation, with implementation required by 2018. The European Aviation Safety Agency, EASA, issued new regulations that require the transmitting time of SLBs fitted to aircraft flight recorders to be increased from 30 to 90 days to be implemented by 1 January 2020. The agency has also proposed that a new underwater locator beacon with a greater range of transmission should be fitted to aircraft that fly over oceans. In June 2015, Duquesne, a manufacturer of underwater locator beacons, began selling beacons with a 90-day battery life. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to please like and subscribe. If you have a topic you would like to suggest, leave a comment.